Hi guys. I'm starting a little early today. I know I said 6 p.m., but I'm kind of antsy. I want to get these questions answered, get things going here. So first of all, I want to welcome everyone who's joined the community, both here on Facebook and here on YouTube, because you're going to see this on both channels. Welcome. The big thing here with Thriving Beyond Codependency is that we're moving beyond it. And really, we're moving towards something I call brilliance. Brilliance is this magic that we have within our innate self, our true being. And that's my big goal for you, is to start experiencing, first of all, relief from shame, relief from judgment, and from that internalized sense of loneliness and emptiness, and that hook we have on the approval from the narcissist, things like that. And to come back to our awareness, come back to our beauty, our brilliance, our power, to really rediscover our identity, and then rediscover real love, real purpose, real confidence, real happiness in our lives. So that's what we're about here. And we do that with our weekly trainings and experiments, and then all the things I tend to throw at you guys throughout the week. So let's get to the questions. The first question I want to shoot at today comes from Renee. Am I pronouncing it, Renee? Is that the right pronunciation? I hope it is. But your post is really, really relevant to our journey out of codependency, because we tend to think we're the problem. We don't really trust. We don't really trust that we have what we've experienced because of the gaslighting and the crazy making and the lack of validation about our own experience. We tend to think we're wrong and they're right. So that's kind of what you're echoing here with this. And so you're stating, as you state, your post here states, rather, it's been several months since my separation from the narc. Lately, I've been questioning as to whether I ever loved my ex, or if I created a fairy tale in my head and didn't realize I was being used and never wanted. You created a fairy tale. We are masters at creating a fantasy about these people, and that shows up with this very specific term, and our phrase, and that phrase is, I know they could be if they would just. I know who they could be if they would just. That kind of thing. That's our fantasy talking. See, we want to hope in the best of people. We want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But people who deserve that kind of hope and that kind of benefit are people who demonstrate change in their lives when they're given feedback about things they're doing that hurt, harm, or actually do well in their lives. But people who are stuck in a pattern of behaviors, now it comes down to pattern behaviors, guys. That's what we have to look out for. If they're stuck in a pattern of behaviors and they never change, despite the consequence, despite the feedback or the pain it causes you, they don't deserve that benefit anymore. They're literally proving who they are and demonstrating who they are by the way they show up. So trust behaviors, especially patterns of behavior. That's essential. So that's number one there. So yeah, Renee, you created a fairy tale in your head and you fell in love with the idea of that person. That's what we do with narcissists, is we elevate them to a pedestal. We make them very important. We idealize them, because by idealizing them, we get to feed into the hope that they'll make us whole. Because as codependents, we are rejecting ourselves. It's called discarding. I don't want myself. Go away. I want you. You come in. I fix your needs and feelings. Then you'll like me. Then you'll need me. And then you'll keep me. That's our big hope in codependency, because we don't think we're worth anything. And that's not really our fault, by the way. I mean, when we're treated systemically from our childhood forward, or really hammered in a relationship about our worth, we're going to question whether we're lovable or not. Am I worth loving? Am I worth knowing? Am I worth keeping? Do I even exist? Am I invisible? So, this wrestle is very natural, but in our healing and moving beyond codependency, we have to take back ourselves. We have to become rooted in who we are And that isn't an analytical thing we go through. This is something that we discover by our experience of who we are. And that's where our value shows up. Because value, and I'll talk more on this in a different video, but value is not something we can measure. It's something we experience. It's something we respect. And it's something we discover. Okay? Because it's already within us. But it's not something we measure. Okay? All right. So you keep on saying, your post keeps on going, and it says, I question if I was ever considered an equal or good enough at any point in a relationship. Yeah, not with a narcissist, you weren't. No one's ever good enough to a narcissist, because what they do is they set a standard and an expectation. You start getting close to that, and then they move that goalpost. And then you're like, but I did the thing. Yeah, you did, but it wasn't really this way. So now it's got this other thing you've got to jump through. And then they're like, oh, but what about this hoop over here? Do it there too. Oh, but what about this? Oh, I got to go through that hoop now? And then maybe they set the hoop on fire. I mean, you'll never win, because their whole point is to keep you hooked. And why do they keep us hooked, guys? What's the one thing the narcissist wants? Supply. And part of that supply is to see how far you'll jump, how high you'll jump, what you'll jump into, what you'll jump through. They love that, because they're playing with you. They've got control. Yeah, exactly, Cynthia. Many dangled carrots, promises, all these beautiful things they come up with. Blech. So this idea of not being good enough is a result of somebody else screwing with our mind by constantly moving the goalposts. They have no integrity, so no wonder we don't feel like we're good enough. We never accomplished the goal. Number two thing about not feeling good enough is, again, it's a measure of your worth. And if we retrieve our worth from performance or output, then we stop playing that game. And we return to what's called beingness or sovereignty, and nobody can screw with us from that position. So stop judging your worth as good or bad and start being it. Start tuning into it. If you want to get deep into this, if you want to master this, that's what we're going to be focusing on deeply in the Being You Brilliantly mentorship that starts here in March. So, and there's a few seats left, so go to bu.freetoself.com and apply, and we'll get you in. Okay. So let's see. My biggest question is whether the end of our marriage was a me thing that just didn't work out because of who I am and what I tolerated, and wondered if he would be this way as someone else. That is so normal. Honestly, we're going to evaluate it because we're human. We are empathic. We want to understand. We care. The relationship ended because you weren't in a relationship with toxic people who do not take responsibility for themselves. You're not in a relationship because there's no relating going on. You're in a dictatorship. You'll never, ever succeed there. Thank you, Cynthia. You can't win. So your marriage ended because of him. He didn't show up. You could never satisfy him. So what is happening here is you've taken this result of the marriage and you've internalized it as a statement about your value. And I encourage you right now, just take a moment and give yourself permission to let that go, because it's not yours. You didn't do this to you. He did. You are not valueless or worthless because of his behavior, or that you couldn't meet the standard. Relationships aren't about standards. They're about connection. And you deserve to know that. And this is one of the things that really screw with us big time, is when we exit the relationship, because we've gone through the narcissistic triangle. So we went through their ideation. They made us all this beautiful thing. And then they devalue us. And then they discard us. And then they go and find someone else. And we wonder what the hell's going on, because now they're idealizing them. We're like, well, it must have been me, because Yeah, and he's treating her like a princess. He's saying like, this is the best person ever. Things like that. And your brain's just going, it had to be me because he's treating her so nice, but he treated me so shit. What? No. Watch the relationship. If you're going to watch it, I recommend you don't, because you need to be focused on you, not him, right? But if you do happen to notice, it's going to happen. He's going to idealize her, and then he's going to devalue her and eventually discard her too. Because that's the cycle. That's how they relate and control their supply. Okay? This is why it's not you. This is why you can do what's called externalization. Externalization means this is a situation. This is a person thing over there. This isn't about my value. It's not about me. This is about this situation, the dynamic happening with these two people. When we stop internalizing things, we break free. Now, if you really want help with that, the Codependency Confidence course and the upcoming mentorship go deep into this so we can receive it and understand it. Okay? And so we don't internalize it. We anchor in ourselves. We stay with who we are. As we discover who we are, then we're free. Because honestly, guys, the solution to codependency is discovery of self. I mean, if I have me and I like me and I know me, I don't need codependent behaviors to get my needs met. I can get them met through my healthy, brilliant behaviors. The world becomes abundant because now I can tap into the innate brilliance I have and receive. That's the whole point. That's it. There's not a whole lot else to do. There's processes to do to open that up, but that's really the crux of it. Okay. All right. So let's run down here to the little question thingies. Where is the poll? You guys want to know where to send my chocolate, my precious chocolate squares. I will post my address. I find that funny. It's 6. The other one's 4. You guys want to know where to send the chocolate. I will post my address and then send me beautiful chocolates. Just so you know which chocolate. I don't have them. Oh, yep, there they are. I'm a huge fan of these chocolates. Yes, the sea salt. Okay, enough about me. Question number 1, how do I handle hypervigilance? First of all, let's understand that hypervigilance is a normal reaction to chronic threat, chronic danger. It is a byproduct of what's called complex PTSD. In another post, Pete Walker's book on PTSD was mentioned. I highly recommend that book. It's a great foundation for understanding what's really going on here. And he gives you some solid tools and practices to help normalize and regulate your nervous system. Now, if you deal with anxiety, you have an unregulated nervous system, you got panic, frantic thoughts, the CALM system I teach gives you a series of tools and emergency protocols that allow you to regulate that. Now, one trick about CALM and that y'all need to know if you're going to do it is that you can't force regulation, because that's anxiety, compounding on anxiety. So you have to allow it to happen. It's something you receive. We're not designed to control anything, but we are designed to become aware and to receive. Okay. So handling hypervigilance means we become observant, we become aware. And then we become observers of our thoughts. And then we regulate our nervous system through like the regulation touch, which is one of the tools in CALM. And we slow down and allow our body to become safe, feeling rested, feeling relaxed. And then your body will tense up, it'll go bloop, and then you're going to bring it back down, bloop. And it'll tense back up and it'll come back down, because your brain's learning to trust again that it's safe, that it's okay, there's not a threat. I'm in my office. There is no threat. And as we make calmness, we make relaxation safe. Hypervigilance will drop. And it'll pop back up, and we'll bring her back down. And it'll pop back up, and bring her back down. As we validate and celebrate our successes and our capability, our confidence goes up, hypervigilance goes down. As we give ourselves permission to receive consequences of choices and mistakes and failures and successes, hypervigilance goes down, confidence goes up. There's a very direct relationship between the two. We have to train our nervous system and our neurology to calm itself. Okay? That's how we handle hypervigilance. This is a persistent thing. It's something we have to consistently do. Our brains have a default mode. Default mode means freak out. We are going to work against that a little bit by bringing in a separate mode, which means calm. And then we run it through that. As a kid who attempted suicide because of hypervigilance and suicide, panic disorder, this saved my life. But it's a practice. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you'll do once and it'll all go away, because that's not how the brain works. If it did, I wouldn't be here. Wouldn't have business doing this. We'd all be happy eating chocolate squares or something. So, all right. So what does it mean to have self-esteem? Self-esteem is a very misunderstood concept, in my opinion. And this will go against a lot of things out there. But I think self-esteem doesn't matter. And this comes back to what I was referencing earlier about value. When we talk about value, we're trying to measure it. It's like, I'm going to log into my value bank and see how many coins I have in my value bank. No. When we stop evaluating our worth, when we stop evaluating our self-esteem, our beingness, our value, then we can start listening and experiencing it, right? Right now, I'm me. I don't have a high or a low sense of value. I have a me value. I'm being me. I'm not concerned if anybody's going to enjoy this or not. Some people have. I've gotten some hearts. Cynthia commented, and people are watching. 2 people at the moment. I mean, that's okay, because it's not about, I'm not looking for my value outside myself. I'm keeping it within me. Hi, Sonia. Retaining the value is essential to regulating our self-esteem. So if we stop evaluating this and we start embracing who we are with a frame of love and celebration, then we're not evaluating anymore. We're enjoying, we're being, we're experiencing. All right. Ooh, more hearts. Thank you, Sonia. And thank you for today's stuff. That was a lot of fun. And thank you for the testimonial video. So next question, what is a shame attack? Shame attacks are these things that show up out of the blue and we feel this immense sense of shitty feeling. Like, ooh, I'm a disgusting person. My shame attacks always led me straight to suicide. Like, might as well just off myself because I'm just a terrible person. That's in a very extreme shame attack. Shame attack will feel very hot and sticky, and we want to crawl inside ourselves or crawl under a rock and never come out. Shame attack. We have to regulate our shame. We regulate our shame, one, by regulating the nervous system. We got to help the brain calm down first, because the brain's in a state of fear, because shame is fear. It's the fear of being ejected from the social network, and then we die, right? So once we regulate that fear, then we can bring in love and we can bring in observation, because shame is very powerful, and then we can share it. We can share the shame, meaning I feel really, really embarrassed about this thing. And shame, Brene Brown has found that when shame is exposed to empathy, it becomes empathy itself. It's a transmutation, okay? And out of that comes love. And that's the magic, love. Hi, Alex. So this is the power of moving a shame attack into love. Now, in the heal process, which is a core element of codependency confidence, we take that shame and we transmute it into love. That's steps 1 and 2 of the heal process. And that sets you up to expand into being you. It's the magic of this process. That's why it has an 89, well, technically has a 98% success rate. If people do the work, they get results. The 2% that don't are people who either have an intervening undiagnosed mental illness or struggle with guided meditation. Okay. So I mean, that, then I track this stuff. So yeah, I can show it to you if you want. So yeah, that's how we deal with shame attack, is we regulate our nervous system and we come back into love, and then we bring love into that space because we deserve it. We are worthy. All shame is a lie. It only serves one purpose. That purpose is to show you what needs love. So if I feel shameful about having a need, then I need to bring love to that need. Does that make sense? So, all right. Okay, so Jackie, how are you? It's nice to see you. Let's see. Hypervigilance. Learn something. Still not hypervigilant. Let's see. Just an article. Find it. Yeah, you do not have to pay attention to prevent another crisis. You're not out there running from the specter and the shadows, those kinds of things. And it is very normal to zone out because you're finally just getting a chance to turn off. Recovery from chronic hypervigilance, you're going to want to look at adrenal fatigue there, because that's a common component in this. And that requires a specific kind of diet and exercise routine and stuff to help your body restore. Okay, but it is very normal to zone out. I'm a big fan. When I zone out, I go to sleep. I get a lot more traction there. Or I'll go and do something playful like Minecraft or go to a movie or something. I fill the space and allow my brain to rest. Okay, so, all right. Yeah, and dissociation is different from zoning out. Okay, dissociation is something intense is happening and I'm just going to go over here. Not really here anymore. Zoning out is like, well, yeah, I just kind of, it's a factor or component of dissociation, but it's one that needs to be, I differentiate them because they aren't technically the same thing. So, all right. Well, I'm not surprised. Hypervigilance is a very normal thing for us because they've been dealing with a chronic terror for who knows. I mean, my stepmother died back in December, and I hadn't talked to her in 10 years, and there was no way she could affect my life. But the fact she was still alive, my body's like, and then when she died, I was like, oh. So even our brains are very good at trying to keep us alive. It's one of our brilliances, man. So yeah, our hypervigilance will be there. Just regulate it, bring it down, and allow yourself to be a little more present with you. Now, sometimes, guys, if we do this, PTSD, trauma will show up. If that does, that means that aspect of self is ready for that work. You can reach out to me and we can take care of it through the closure technique, or you can go do EMDR or TRE or somatic processing, anything that would feel comfortable and light for you. Do what works for you. Different modalities for different people. All right. Ginger, knowing what a real need is versus a want or perhaps a hunger due to depletion or lack. Is it as simple as following the love languages? A real need? Is there a fake need? It's a very serious question. Is there a fake need? I'm not aware of fake needs. What I would do here is step back and go, I have a need for something, and then get it filled in a healthy way. There's really no need to quantify need versus want. There needs to be, there's no need to judge something that way. It's like, if it's really intense, then it's hungry, and then it just needs to be filled. That doesn't necessarily mean that person you're with needs to fill it, but you need to find a healthy way of meeting its fulfillment for you. So it's a place to discover and explore for you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Cynthia. It is a long process. Lots of sleep, water, very slow things. Qigong, water movements, Tai Chi, yoga. These are great restorative practices because the body, part of hypervigilance is tension in the body, okay? And the muscles are tense. And we gotta help her relax, help the body move and begin to flow again and just kind of open up, get in contact again with body, okay? So that would help there. So Ginger, yeah, in relationships to real needs versus wants, or perhaps hunger due to depletion lack. Love languages are a nice conceptual structure for meeting needs. And in relationships, I have a very high standard for relationships. I get a lot of flack for it. But I'm going to stick in the mud because I'm tired of mediocre bullshit out there, guys. Period. My belief is if I'm in a relationship with someone and let's say their love language is acts of service. All right. My love language is physical touch and words of affirmation. Very, very, very much on words of affirmation. And so I would not give her words of affirmation if that didn't really hit the button. I would give her acts of service because I want her to know I love her. It's as simple as that. This is what we don't get with relationships. This is not complicated. It's just paying attention and feeding the person and the thing they want in the way they want it. That's it. So if I'm going to choose to be with this person, I need to feed them in the way they understand. And they need to do that with me. That's love. That's the work in a relationship that's healthy. It's not a combat zone, right? This defensiveness that a lot of people have in relationships is such a useless thing. Why not just love them? Give them what they want. Like, I want my chocolate cubes, but I'm very specific. Just as a reminder, these make me feel love. So, yes, you can do that, but meet it that way. Don't judge your needs as real or unreal because they all are real. Don't worry too much about the need versus want. If it's hungry, it's probably a need. Wants are valuable, but remember, needs can be met in a lot of different ways. Right? So let's play with meeting needs from a lot of different people, not putting all our eggs in one basket, which we do as codependents, ex-codependents all the time. It's like, I just want that one person. And part of that's understandable because we have a high level of anxiety when it comes to relationships and vulnerability and connection. But we need to diversify that so we can make it happen. That's right, Sonia. Chocolates. All right. I had another question from, hey, Betty, you're getting married here pretty quick. Congratulations. In fact, you're getting married the weekend after my niece's, and I'm officiating that one. It's going to be fun. All right, question. I get super excited about something. Example, I found a wedding venue. Totally. Oh, yeah, here we go. Next day, I feel so stupid for being. Okay, yes, this is shame. This is shame about expressing. This is shame about being excited. And this tells me that at some point in time, you were programmed to shame you for your expression. So this is a beautiful place for you to get really rooted into your being and really embrace the beauty of that excitement. I love seeing you excited about this. It's very, very cool. It's awesome. Give yourself a chance to own it and embody it because there's brilliance there. That's that magic that makes people drawn to you. Okay. This is where we find fulfillment and excitement and connection and contact in our lives. So this really, really matters. But yeah, that is shame. Definitely clear it. It's a lie. So literally, if you treat all shame as a lie, life just gets so much easier. It's like, oh, well, I'm feeling shameful about that, so my judgment about the thing is a lie. So what if my expression is beautiful? What else is possible now? Things like that. So, all right, Rosalind, I took chocolates. Okay, and then the list. Oh yes, the good list for boundaries between a mother and adult son. The fundamental principle on any boundary between a parent and a child, and this depends on the age of the child, of course, guys, but if she specifies adult son, is let the child screw up their life. Do not rescue them from their decisions. Let them inherit the consequence, and then you can offer help, but help comes in on honoring their boundaries, honoring yours, empathy and encouragement. Let them find the solution. You don't solve it for them. They solve it for them. Period. And then promote self-reliance. Empower them to create their own solutions, discover their own things, do them. All right. So let's see. Did I miss anything else? Anything else that I missed? Nope. Okay. Thank you, guys. I will be back here next Thursday for more Q&A. And we're coming up on this. The Being You Brilliantly starts here in just under 3 weeks. If you feel lost about who you are, if you feel like you don't exist with someone else, unless you have someone else, like, wow, I don't know who I am unless I have a relationship. If you feel invisible, if you struggle to know who you are, this is the mastermind for you. Because in 8 weeks, we're going to take you from that space to rediscovering your identity and then recapturing your happiness, your love, your prosperity, your purpose. It's all going to be easily connected to through that, because I use 3 basic principles for that. First one, the first pillar of this is listening, learning to hear your voice. And then we connect that to being rooted in your being, which leads us to the power of choosing and receiving based on your brilliance. This is where you'll make a lot of rapid progress in transforming your codependency into confidence. Okay, so if you have questions about that, just ask them in the comments below. You can apply for your spot. I'll post the link in the comments here in a moment. Thank you guys for showing up, and remember, you're worth knowing, you're worth loving, and you're worth keeping. I'll talk to you guys next week.